Alright, for this video, we're basically going to show you how to factor quadratic trinomials when the leading coefficient is not 1. Here the leading coefficient is 2. And it's going to be a much more complex process than what we did before. When the leading coefficient was x squared, we just came up with the sum and the product, and we got the answers right away. Here, if the leading coefficient is not 1, we're going to make up a number chart. Okay? I'm going to make this a little, almost kind of like a bigger parentheses. And I'm going to say this, we're going to have two columns. The first column is going to be x, and the second column is just going to be a number. Now, what numbers do we put in each? Well, it depends. What are the factors of the leading coefficient? The only factors of 2 are 1 and 2. Now, since that's x squared, that tells me I'm just going to have 1x and 2x. And what I mean by that, when I eventually factor this into two binomials, the first term in one binomial is going to be x, the first term in the other binomial is going to be 2x. Because if I multiply x and 2x, I get this, 2x squared. Now, to figure out what I put in this column right here, I have to get the factors of this last term. So the only factors for 5, since it's prime, it's just 1 and 5. Now, it depends where I put the 1 and the 5. You know, am I putting a 1 here or am I putting a 1 here? What we want to do is we're going to put numbers here, and then we're going to cross multiply, and then we're going to add the cross products. All right, you'll know what I mean when I show you. I'm going to start out by having this work. I'm going to put 5 here, I'm going to put 1 here. And then I'm going to cross multiply. So 1x times that 1 is just 1x. 2x times 5 is 10x. When we add these, it equals 11x. Alright, that's real important. This number that I just circled has to equal the middle coefficient. And if it does, like it does in this case, then we've done this correctly. And then I just read this big number chart left to right. I have positive x and positive 5. So that tells me one of the binomials is x plus 5. And then if I circle the second row, I have 2x and 1. So that tells me the other binomial is 2x plus 1. This is your answer. X plus 5 times the quantity of 2x plus 1. If you FOIL that out, this is what it's going to equal. Okay? This is one that worked out the first time. You're going to say we're going to do this by trial and error a lot in class, and sometimes they don't work, so you might have to like mix and match. Okay, I'm going to do the next one, number 2. I'm going to do it so that it doesn't work out right away, just to kind of prove a point. All right, so let's move over to number 2. Okay, if I do number 2, make this even bigger. All right, so if I do number 2, let's see, I'm going to make the number chart. Okay, my first column represents the coefficients of x. Second column represents the numbers. Okay, the only factors for 3 are 1 and 3. So I'm going to have 1x and 3x. And then this second column, I just get the factors of 11. Well, that's prime. It's only 1 and 11. Now, here's the main thing. I'm going to go right to the two binomials. I know I'm going to have x, and then I have 3x. Because x times 3x is 3x squared. Now, since this is a plus, this is telling me same sign of the first, that's a negative. So that tells me I'm going to have x minus and 3x minus. So I'm going to put negatives here in each. Now, here's the key question. Where do we put the 1 and where do we put the 11? Do I put the 1 here or do I put the 1 here? Now, I'm going to put the wrong answer here first, just to prove a point. I'm going to put 1 here, so it's negative 1, and 11 here, so it's negative 11. So I'm going to take the cross products. 1x times that negative 11 is negative 11x. 3x times negative 1 is negative 3x. When we add negative 3x and negative 11x, we get negative 14x. Real important. This does not equal negative 34x. So what that's telling me is I'm going to switch these numbers around. Okay, so I'm going to switch these. I'm just going to get rid of it. I'm going to cross it out. So I'm going to put negative 11 up here and negative 1 down here. So now when I do this, 3x times negative 11, this is, I'll cross this out. This is negative 33x. And then this 1x times negative 1 is negative 1x. When I add these together, I get negative 34x. That matches up with this. So now I know that I pretty much have the answer. So when I read this left to right, I'm going to have x minus 11. So just put 11. This is 3x minus 1. And that's the answer right there. And if you FOILed this out, you will get this trinomial that we started with.